Welcome to Weekday Faith, short messages to strengthen your walk with Christ. Because faith isn't just for Sundays, it's for every day of the week.
Welcome to Weekday Faith. I'm so excited to be with you as we're continuing our journey through the Beatitudes. Today we're going to land on Blessed are the merciful, for they shall be shown mercy. This is such a beautiful thing that, again, most of these when we're fulfilling the Beatitudes are going to, I think, attract people to us because much of it is having to do with relationship, either with God or with people. And so in this case, especially with people that are in deep need, when we show mercy, when we show compassion and kindness to them, it will attract them to us because they're attracted to the loving kindness of God we're displaying. That verse, though, it shows us how things loop around in the kingdom. We show mercy, we receive mercy. Jesus goes on and takes this a bit deeper later on in the chapter. We've been reading through in Matthew, the Beatitudes. I want us to jump over to Luke chapter 6 for a moment, though. The Beatitudes are recorded there as well. But I like how we see it written when Jesus gets into the deeper area of judging people and condemning people, which is not showing mercy. So in that passage, though, is a verse that we typically will read when we are talking about giving financially. And I think it's interesting that we find that verse not when Jesus is talking about our money, but when he's talking about our relationship with people. And so that verse is give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. We love that verse. Yes, I'm going to give and God is going to pour back on me. However, where we find this is in relationship. So let's read this verse in the middle of the context that is taking place here. And so we're going to go back just a couple of verses. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure that you use, it will be measured to you. So this passage is talking about our inner relationships, about not judging people, because most likely you're judging incorrectly. Most likely you're judging with partial information. Do not condemn. How quick we are often to condemn people after we have judged them. Not even that we have judged them a certain way, and so we're going to show them mercy. No, we judge, then we condemn. And then are we doing the following? Are we forgiving? And this is what Jesus did for us. We've been judged. Yeah, our sin, we should be condemned then to death. However, this is where Jesus showed mercy. He forgave. And often we are unable to forgive because we have already judged and condemned. And it's right after that he talks about us being generous in our relationships of giving to one another. Give to one another, and it will be measured back to you. And so when we're talking about being merciful to people, I just think how often we show mercy to people that we are in deep relationship with, and we have a desire to show them mercy and compassion and kindness. But with people we don't necessarily agree with, or we don't like how they do it, we're a little more quick, I think, to judge, to condemn, and then not to forgive. When that happens, again, here comes the flow back. The measure you use, the measure I use toward people is the measure I'm going to receive. And so if we find ourselves being judged by people, if we find ourselves being condemned and people not forgiving us, then I think the question that we ask is, what is the measure that I'm using? If this is the fruit that I'm receiving, maybe I need to stop and examine what I have been giving out to people. And maybe I need to receive a fresh flow, a fresh intake of the mercy of Jesus. Maybe I need to go back to the table of the Lord and remember what measure Jesus used for me. I didn't deserve it, and he gave everything. He gave it all. His measure, in fact, in Ephesians, it says that he lavishes all grace on us. And are we lavish in our interaction with one another? Are we lavish with our mercy toward one another? And so this is a great, I think, beatitude for our self-examination, to maybe just stop and look at our relationships, what they've been looking like, what I've been receiving from people. And so maybe I need to look at what I've been giving to people. So this can be a little bit of a hard beatitude, but I think that it is a beatitude that will enlarge our ability to love like God loved, like Christ loved us. And when we are able to do that, we suddenly find that we are surrounded by a whole lot of people that we're able to go into deep relationship with because we've been generous in giving to them. So take time this week for examination. This is one of those that I feel like you really have to turn off all of your worship music, get into silence, just be with Jesus and say, Holy Spirit, you are welcome to walk through my relationships, walk through the examination of my heart, and see. We're often blind. Those can be our blind spots. This is why, sometimes the Lord puts us in the relationships that we do. I'm married to a man who is often quick to say, maybe you just need to not be so critical, because I can be quick. I always know when I have not been at the feet of Jesus, I tend toward a critical spirit when I get away from Jesus. And it's usually one of my first signs that I need to get back at his feet and receive the mercy, receive the kindness. And that makes me a much more kind, merciful person. So take time to examine with Holy Spirit your relationships this week. I think that it'll open up opportunity for the beauty of relationships the way that the Trinity intended for us. God bless.